Hello, and welcome to my Wednesday's Word video for February the 10th. Many years ago, long before the days of electronic instruments, there was a traveling organist who would perform many times at outdoor events. One day he was playing for an event on his organ, which was powered by a set of bellows. On this particular day, the bellows were being pumped by a young boy standing behind a curtain. The organist played several rousing numbers while the boy pumped furiously, out of sight behind his curtain. After each number, the organist would stand, acknowledge the crowd's applause, take a bow, and then announce, "For my next number, I'd like to play." Then he'd name his next song. This went on for quite a while, delighting the crowd. Finally, as he sat to begin another number, he stroked the organ keys as he had before, but this time no sound came out. He got up and walked around behind the curtain to see if the boy was all right. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Actually," the boy said, "nothing's wrong. But next time, sir, let's put a little more we into it." Paul, that great missionary, evangelist, and apostle, was one who put a lot of we into his work. It is estimated that Paul gave recognition in his epistles to more than 50 helpers and what he called fellow laborers. In Philippians 4:3, for instance, Paul wrote concerning those who worked with him in Philippi. He called them my fellow laborers, giving them recognition as those who deserve credit along with him. One person that he recognized for his assistance in his apostle work was a young man named Titus. Titus was a young Greek philosophy student who was won to the Lord by Paul. He would go on to travel with Paul in his missionary journeys and would serve as Paul's secretary and sometimes messenger. Notice how Paul described him in 2 Corinthians 8:23, where he said, "Titus, he is my partner and fellow helper." He recognized Titus as an equal. Now, Paul had good reason to emphasize partnership, cooperation, and friendship. For you see, it was a friend who gave him his first opportunity for ministry. Saul had been the feared persecutor of the church and had been arrested by the Lord while on his way to persecute the believers in Damascus. He immediately became a bold witness for the Lord Jesus. But in Jerusalem and in Jewish Christian circles, Paul was greatly feared. His ministry was rejected by Jewish believers until a friend spoke up for him. That was Barnabas, who had begun working among Gentile believers in Antioch. He went down to Tarsus and brought Saul, now known as Paul, to be a partner with him in ministry. Without that faithful friend, we might never have had the ministry of the most prolific writer of the New Testament. As Dean Martin famously sung many years ago, everybody needs somebody sometime. Many years ago, in a certain American city, a young pastor was chosen to follow a long-time and much-loved pastor, a man who was known for his powerful preaching. The young man knew that these would be big shoes to fill. At one of his very first Sundays at his new pastorate, he was met well before service time by one of the elders of the congregation. He said to him, "Pastor, I have been delegated by the board of elders to deliver a message from the board to you. We know that you are young, and as of yet, your preaching ministry is not so strong. But I want to show you something that we hope will encourage you." With that, he led the young pastor downstairs to the church basement. And there in a large assembly room were more than 100 church members on their knees praying. The church elder then explained to the new pastor, "These people you see here are committed to praying for you every week. We will not criticize your preaching or listen to those who do, but we will continually pray for you and for your preaching ministry." That young pastor went on to become a great preacher, recognized for his effective pulpit ministry. And he later credited his friends in low places for his years of success. You see, Paul knew what he spoke of when he declared in Romans 14:7, "For none of us liveth to himself, and no man dieth to himself." In his writings, Paul often likened believers to a body, and as individual members of the same body, we should, he said, have the same care one for another, even that we should prefer others before ourselves. Friends, I want to tell you that today the powers of Satan and hell are united in their purpose, their intention to destroy faith and the church. And one of Satan's favorite weapons against us is to create division among us. Let me say, now more than ever before, we need unity. We need one another. And everybody needs friends, those who are our allies in the faith. As I see it now, the work of the church is becoming more difficult by the day. And the forces arrayed against us are large, well-funded, and fearsome. To prevail, we must stand together. As Benjamin Franklin spoke to those at the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, to them he said, "We must all hang together, or most assuredly we shall all hang separately." In these troubling days, I encourage you, find a friend, make a friend, and encourage the friends you already have. For we are going to need one another more than ever before. But I believe when we stand together and encourage one another and pray for one another, I believe that then God will give us great success. I am one who believes revival can still come, but it will require God's people banding together, friend with friend, against the enemy of our soul and our faith. Please be encouraged today in the Lord, and encourage someone else today, will you? May God bless you and keep you, is still my prayer.